So, hello. After 2 weeks, we are back. This time at Hungaroring at Budapest, which is the national. Okay, I messed up. It's the primary town of Hungary. So, yeah, capital, right? The circuit's length is 4.3 kilometers. So, and both races are 14 laps. I am Kert Rohtjarv, and alongside me is Foulkes, and doing the cameras is Joshua Dexter.
Right, yeah. Welcome to Academy. As you was trying to say, we are in the capital city of Hungary, Budapest. It's nice to be joining you today, Kurt. Obviously, I only got told 5 minutes before we were supposed to start that I was commentating, but we are now in qualifying. We've just caught the end of the first couple of laps that people are setting, the banker laps. Currently, Michael Falkenhayn is looking the strongest out of just about anyone in qualifying. He was the fastest in practice before, and now it's looking quite good for him as Usama Nani temporarily sets the fastest lap in the session. That time will only decrease as time goes on, and yeah, already replaced by over 6.5 temps by Michael Falkenhayn, who's actually returned to the pit lane. So they... Wait, in Academy you can go back. Sorry. Unfamiliar, of course. But Kurt, obviously you've had a bit more experience with Academy than me, so you know who's returning, who's been here before. Who is your money on for today's race?
I would say definitely Michael Falkenhayn, because we saw him in Baku, FS2. He showed a really incredible pace there. Even I had some issues fighting with him there, but yeah, definitely he has a lot of talent, and as you can see here, 6.5 tenths ahead of Osama Nani. Then yeah, it's going to be something like Max Verstappen did most of the time last year.
So you expect it to be a dominance performance by Falkenhayn, who of course they've had debuts already in higher formulas, or I wouldn't say higher formulas, but higher steps in the career ladder already in GPVWC. So they're quite experienced, so to say, when it comes to racing in higher formulas. So I would imagine it gives them a bit of an edge over everyone else. But then again, if you look at the top 10 here, most of the drivers there have been in other series, notably Dan Hutt as well, who drove in FS2 for a couple of seasons actually, and was quite up there for most of them. So it's very competitive, and there's still plenty of time in qualifying, plenty of time in the races. I think it was 15 laps for both races, if I was reading that correctly. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. There's a lot of time for stuff to happen, especially around the Hungaroring. It's one of the tracks where unfortunately there's not that many overtaking opportunities, but the ones that do exist, you could easily make a pass as long as you're close enough to the car ahead. And I think that's what's going to be quite interesting, especially on lap 1 and the first couple of laps where everyone's right next to each other and there's not really that much of a difference. And it's just one huge pack, as we often see with Academy. But yeah, Kurt, if you want to run us through a lap, that would be great.
Yeah, I'd love to. This is a track where I made my debut last year as well, so I some kind of remember how things need to go here. But definitely these cars handle a bit different than last year. So yeah, now on board with Alessio Campigotto. When going onto a lap, it's really nice to take a wider line, so you could get a really good acceleration, which could give you better top speed, which is really good time-wise. Braking here for like 75 meters before the apex, and you need to get the car turning really great to touch that curve there. But definitely this corner here, downhill, turn 2, found pretty difficult for me last year, because really you couldn't see the apex most of the time, and as well as this one here. I already don't know which corner it is by numbers, but yeah, it was pretty technical. Kert could launch a car pretty easily, but most of the lap it was quite nice, just such a breeze, and yeah, you needed to focus 110%, but overall it's a really fast track, really technical one as well. Not really much overtaking chances, so you need to plan every move you make, where you need to dive bomb or do whatever you feel is the best. But yeah, definitely not really much overtaking chances here, so you need to take risks, which could be worth it as well.
Yeah, we're not really going to see much overtaking in that second sector, which is somewhere from turn 5 to just before the corner, not these two here, but the one before it, the 90-degree right-hander. And I think in sector 3, in the first corner, even the second corner also, some very good overtaking opportunities. It's just that very technical, high-speed S section where it is possible to go side by side, but it's not that common. Either way, Josh Flynn has improved by 0.2 of a second in the first sector. However, we're just waiting on a sector 2 time. I don't think he's getting one because he's invalidated his lap.
Yeah, looks like it's invalidated because sector 2 time should have been already there for a long time now. But yeah, Rohtjarv goes up and now takes sector 1 purple, so he's on a really good lap as rear end gets a bit loose there. Definitely you need to put more grippier setup on front than rear, because you need to get the car turning, not on the rear but on front as well. So yeah, it could be quite tricky for newcomers. I made my debut here last year, and like you said, that really fast S is the sector 2, sector 3. I made a move on our then a driver who is now our cameraman from the outside on SS, so he definitely remembers it, so do I.
Yeah, once again though, Josh Flynn, huge improvement in sector 1, 2.7 hundredths, 2.7 thousandths, hundredths of a second, or 2.7 tenths. Although he seems to be losing most of his time in the second sector, where it seems Michael Falkenhayn just has a huge advantage compared to everyone else in terms of grip. He's almost 0.2 slower than Josh Flynn, or 2.7 to be exact, which is the exact time he's purple by. So yeah, Falkenhayn is probably running a much higher downforce setup than his competitors. Josh Flynn moves up to 5th in the meantime. But yeah, it's in that final sector and that second sector where you can really get an edge in terms of lap time. But the thing is, that downforce will really hurt you in the race when you have cars behind you slipstreaming. So I wonder how that's going to play out if he's using a quali-focused setup, especially with the race session that he has to do where he'll have cars fighting. But just maybe he can get an advantage in that second sector where downforce really matters, and that will be enough to break away from the cars around him. Although I suspect James Taylor and the cars behind him will not let that happen too easily. So I wouldn't take that 5 tenth advantage in qualifying as too much of a guidance of how fast he's going to be in the race, because just analyzing, he's almost 2 kilometers an hour slower than the car behind him, and up to 4 on certain cars, and even Josh Flynn, who's got a very low downforce setup. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting race in terms of setup strategy. Obviously, no pit stops in Academy. So yeah, there's going to be a lot to watch out for, but I don't think that it's going to be easy for Falkenhayn based on this qualifying pace. It's mainly due to a setup change. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting.
On this particular track, you need to make a choice if you want more low downforce or more high downforce. Of course, most of the drivers, me included, on tracks, we love to find a really good balance between low and high. So you could have a really great top speed and also really good cornering. But cornering speed isn't that quick, but still you could get your car turning, so that's the main thing. But yeah, here is Michael Falkenhayn. Now we can see how he takes Sector 2 and Sector 3 and how is he so quick there.
Yeah, just so much grip through those two sort of S-section corners where he doesn't really hesitate on the steering, but doesn't have many issues with the steering. And I'm wondering if this is a Sector 2 improvement. It is. It's a further 0.04 of a second improvement over his previous best Sector 2, and the overall best Sector 2 is a 31.6. That's 0.2 faster than James Taylor's Sector 2, who is also about to finish their lap. But Falkenhayn will try to cross the line and improve that gap. It was brought down to 3.7 seconds. It's just been improved upon by a couple of hundredths. But yeah, that gap by James Taylor has been brought down right at the end. They'll get one more lap in before the end of the session. And once again, watching Campiotto heading onto a fast lap after aborting their previous lap. So to turn 1, the heaviest braking zone on the circuit, it's almost a hairpin. I wouldn't count it because it's a bit of a sweeper, but braking just at the edge of the curb there, hitting the apex very nicely and a decent exit through turn 1. That looked very clean by Campiotto, but into the turn 2 or turn 3, if you count that corner before. And yeah, it's a very late apex corner there. So you have to go in quite deep and come back on yourself just to get the optimal line through that corner. And this, like you said, blind corner to hit that apex. And it's very fast as well. So it's difficult to pick your marks, but it's important too that you hit your marks there and get a decent sector in. As Campiotto did not improve in that first sector, was actually 0.2 down. So yeah, either way, we've got a couple more laps at the end here as Simonsen has improved in the first sector, is 0.6 down overall, but he could still improve somewhere up to 5th position here. But he did not gain that much in the final sector, moved up ahead of Campiotto. And here's Alfie Denley, who's actually looking quite competitive, even though those sector times might not look it. He's still improving and still only 0.6 down on the leader, so it's very possible that he will improve his position here once more. And he does not, crossing the line, losing quite a bit in that final sector. But the interesting thing here is now the late lap pushes. Here's Roy Cypher, who's improved by 30 thousandths of a second in Sector 1. And that looked a bit wide over the curbs there, but it's still definitely possible for Cypher to continue improving and improve his position. There's a nice big gap between Taylor and Osama Nani to be taken. It's almost 0.3 to get in there, but Cypher not having the greatest second sector, and I don't think he'll be able to improve here, but Falkenhayn is improving in Sector 1.
Yeah, looks like James Taylor indeed has improved his time, so 0.4, yeah, it's not a big of a gap. And here Falkenhayn 1/10 even quicker than his personal best, so yeah, Falkenhayn over the top of everyone.
But he might have just invalidated this lap time going over the curbs there, although he is continuing, so this could be a great lap, a 31.5 in the second sector to the line. Let's see what it is. 30.381, a 0.7 gap to James Taylor, improved by almost 0.4 of a second. A mighty lap by Falkenhayn there. I think that's definitely going to be pole. Here's Adam Morell. They're not going anywhere with that lap time. They're over 2.3 seconds down, I would estimate, and they are the last driver out on track. So yeah, we've got a warm-up session and then we'll have our first race. But yeah, that was, I wouldn't say interesting, but definitely impressive by Falkenhayn with that lap there.
Yeah, definitely. Falkenhayn definitely already on the last round seemed quite quick, so definitely, yeah. Really nice to see him at the top again with such a big gap, which I didn't really expect. So, yeah, he's got talent for sure.
And it definitely won't go to waste. Are we getting the results? Because that would be a good thing to go through right now. There's Michael Falkenhayn on pole, a 30.381 lap time with James Taylor behind him. Usama Nani in third with Simon Kanda taking the fourth grid slot. Josh Flynn and Royce Seifert line up behind him. Dan Hurt, Checo Sopanen in seventh and eighth. Adam Morell is ninth with Christian Simonsen in 10th. Alessio Campigotto in 11th with Mark Matthias Whitman in 12th. Charlotte Menick is 13th and Simon Witt is 14th. Hugo Sorzio? Oh, Josh, you're messing me up here. Alfie Denley is 16th with Martin Reitberg in 17th. Matthew Maple, 18th. Nova McKenna, 19th. And Christus Colon in 20th position. Yeah, and the last 8 runners, Olivier Demoliens, Michael De La Cruz, Adrian Sina, Nikos Evangelidakis, Yua Yoon, Caroline Harvick, and Jerome Berg. Finally, Jacob Kozlowski. And the names in Academy are really difficult. Goodness me.
Yeah, big gaps, but we'll be going into the race quite soon, so take your snacks, take your drink, because it's about to get more exciting than qualifying was as we take a break. and we are back. It's for the end of warm-up, and we'll shortly be at the first race start when they will go to the formation lap, do final preparations, and then it's going to get interesting. Between alongside me is Alex Foulkes, like earlier.
I'm between you.
Not between. I messed up again.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, I don't really know where to go from that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. We're waiting to line up on the grid, and then we can go driving on the formation lap. We just need people to go back into their nice little hole called a garage and park there, and then we can move to the next session, and then we can go racing, and then we can have some fun.
You know, I mess up with English quite often because it's not my native language, you know.
Yeah, it's not an
So,
issue. But yeah, there's a reason why you don't really hear people talking outside their foreign languages when it comes to commentating on sport. It's inconvenient. Either way, racing, it's about to happen. And Kert, just give us a rundown of what happened in qualifying.
No, well, short recap of qualifying then. Michael Falkenhayn won qualifying by 0.690 seconds, ahead of James Taylor, and Osama Nani was 3/10 of Taylor and then whole 1 second of Michael Falkenhayn. So big gaps, nothing really interesting in qualifying, so you didn't miss anything really amazing or which could have been interesting. So
well, cars are going onto the grid in preparation for the nice bit of racing we're going to have after this, and we will get to see the start lights. I'm happy about that. Usually when we commentate Hungarian, we don't see the start lights, we see the backs of them, like you do, like you have on the right side there. We've had quite a few starts with that's not right.
yeah,
You're not supposed to do that. Can't park there, mate.
It's like Fisichella in 2001 in Malaysia, when he didn't get to his right grid. So Alex, will you run down?
Yes, sure. It's Michael Falkenhayn taking pole with James Taylor behind him on the first row. Usama Nani and Simon Kanda line up on the second row. The third row, Josh Flynn and Roy Seifert are 5th and 6th, with the 4th row being Dan Hutt and Juho Cheko Sopanen. 9th is Adam Morel with Christian Simonsen behind him. In the 6th row is Alessio Campagotto and Mark Matthias Wittmann. The 7th row is Charlotte Menning and Simon Witt, with Ugo Sorzio and Alfie Denley in 15th and 16th. 17th is Martin Reitberg with Matthew Maple in 18th. Nova McKenna is 19th with Christos Pieskolan in 20th. Olivier Demoliens is 21st with Michael Delia Cruz in 22nd. Adrian Senior in 23rd with Nikos... Sorry, just give me a second. Evangelidakis in 24th. Yuo Yoon is 25th with Caroline Harvig, 26th. Jerome Berg, 27th. And last out of everyone is Jakub Kozlowski. Now then, Kurt, we've got a good bit of racing ahead of us, 14 laps. And you said your favorite was Michael Falkenhayn, and there's still definitely time for that to go wrong, but after qualifying, do you still maintain that idea?
I really don't want to curse Michael, but yeah, the idea is the same, because when you saw the qualifying results, how much of a how big of a gap there was between him and James Taylor, then yeah, no doubt about it that Michael's speciality is sector 2 and sector 3, which is more than half of the track, so he's quite quick.
Yeah, that's where the main advantage is for Michael Falkenhayn. But the last car has moved onto the grid. Jakub Kozlowski has taken that 28th grid slot. Osama Nani is not on the grid, but here come the lights. It's Michael Falkenhayn on the right, James Taylor on the left. It's a good start for Falkenhayn. James Taylor's not got the greatest of starts. He's dropped back a little bit under pressure by Simon Kanda. Now he's on the inside, and to the inside is Kanda. Tries to make a move for second. Josh Flynn is fourth, and Kanda has got past on the inside of Taylor. Now that is a good start for Falkenhayn, who's already got a big gap to the car behind him, but he is trailed still closely. But that pack behind him is really close together, too wide for most of the field, and there's contact. Ugo Sorzio has round many cars around. I think 5 cars in that collision there. Very well avoided by whoever that is at the back.
A lot of cars, we have the front wing, and one red car is missing the front right wheel, so it's game over for him, unfortunately. And Ugo Sorzio is missing a rear wing, which makes driving really difficult.
So that's not really going to be repairable for most of their drivers, and that's not the greatest way to start your race, going out in the first couple of corners and making contact, spinning around, multiple drivers following each other off the track there. Over those sausage curbs, or the bitey curbs, I would like to call them. But yeah, Nova McKenna gets passed by Alfie Denley. And Nova McKenna actually has been able to improve on their position greatly thanks to that incident that we just watched there. But Falkenhayn has an almost second and a half gap to Simon Kanda already. So that's looking very good for Falkenhayn. Oh, there's a huge defense going on a bit further back. I can't tell you who it's between, but it looked like it's Mark Matthias Wittmann and Campagotto. Side by side. Wittmann tries to cover off the inside, but Campagotto still wants to go for it, but no move has been made. Fierce defense by Wittmann there.
Yeah, like we told in the beginning of qualifying, really Hungary doesn't have really much overtaking chances. So yeah, if you lose a place, then it will be a real challenge to get your place back on the grid. But still, you can try on every corner, but I can't promise you that in every corner when you try to overtake it will end greatly. So do it in a safe place.
Yeah, Sopanen there was quite wide and a bit slidey off the track, but people here... Oh no! Someone's into the wall further back. They got onto the... It is Simon Witt who got onto the curb, spun round, and unfortunately for them, they're now down in 23rd. And yeah, it's not looking great for Witt as Falkenhayn sets another fastest lap of the race. And we're going to go to a replay here of what happened to Simon. Someone's on the outside of him here. I can't tell you who it is, but he just gets onto those curbs and caught and gets sent into the wall. It doesn't look like they've got much damage, but that really is unfortunate for him there. So yeah, it's hard to see as I think that's Taylor around the outside of Dan Hutt there. And a very ambitious defense of Taylor to try and keep that 4th position. He's come down from 2nd off the start, and Dan Hutt going wide. It's really showing that those outside curbs are not that kind to people here.
Yeah, curbs are biting pretty hard here. Like we just saw with Simon Witt, it was that corner's curb is the most... Oh! And that's Taylor. That corner's curb isn't the most flat. So when you get onto there and get balanced on there, then yeah, it's really easy to spin there.
And come on, give a bit of space, Denley. You can't just turn in like that. Yeah, Taylor was just ignored there. He might have made a mistake, but goodness me, he was pushed quite close to the inside of the track, and someone ahead is side by side. I think that's Menink and Wittmann, who were alongside one another. One trying to make a move around the outside. Roy Seifert still on the back of Dan Hood into the slipstream. Menink and Wittmann going at it again further back. Sorry, Adam Morell and Wittmann going at it further back. Morell to the inside in turn one. Doesn't get the move done just yet. I think, there's a bit of contact further back. James Taylor once again getting involved with Alfie Denley. Alfie Denley tries to the outside in turn 3 and will actually get the move done on the exit. Very well done by Denley there.
Really aggressive fighting going on here. Oh! And James is around. Does he get hit? Oh, he was really lucky there. As Simonsen looks to be off track as well.
Yeah, we got very lucky there. Oh no, you can't go down the inside there, and James Taylor is around once again. And yeah, I thought FS2 was bad, but we do have to remember drivers here are still learning. I can't exactly be too harsh on them for making silly mistakes, but stuff like that is quite silly. Either way, we've got another yellow in sector 2. That's not looking too good, but Falkenhayn still so much quicker than the cars around him.
Yeah, for 3.1 seconds between him and Shimon Kanda, so looks like I wasn't wrong. That's Falkenhayn domination here.
Yeah, and you're also not wrong. He is getting most of his advantage in Sector 2 and Sector 3, as I think someone's just DNF'd. It's James Taylor who has retired from the race, and from second. That is truly unfortunate to get caught in so many different incidents that you just lose all hope for the rest of the race, as Usama Nani has no front wing, but is still trying to battle the car ahead of him, which is Olivier Demaliens. So yeah, you can't, and he's blown his engine up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's in a really bad spot.
Yeah, it is. So Osama Nani as well was P3 and wasn't on the grid, so he needed to start from the pits. So yeah, for P2 and P3 on the grid, it hasn't been a day to remember.
Nova McKenna, you just saw it at the back of the frame there. A great save. Went over the curves and very well handled to keep it going straight and in the right direction, not spinning it around. There's the deltas in terms of position. Jerome Berg, a very strong drive, up 12 positions, and also Nova McKenna as well, up 8. Oh, as they got onto the grass. But it doesn't seem to have affected them too much. Charlotte Menink as well, further ahead, up 7 positions as well.
Nova McKenna on last corner, he a bit lost the rear end there, so yeah, still he lost a bit time there to Maple, definitely, so yeah, it is giving time away to Maple, so Maple could try to overtake him finally.
Oh, around the outside, Matthew Maple, and yeah, he gets that move quite cleanly finished off, and yeah, that seems to be the favourite of people here. Not many moves going into turn 1, but all of them going into turn 3 as we see a synchronised sort of discursion from the circuit of both Nova McKenna and Campagotto. So yeah, I think that's happened quite a few times here where we've had that happen, where 2 cars have gone off in tandem with one another and sort of matching each other's mistake, so to say. I think a lot of people are getting spooked out by other cars here.
Yeah, when one car goes off the line and another car is close behind you, getting the slipstream, then yeah, car behind you is experiencing a lot of understeer, so that makes him go out of the track as well.
Either way, I think we're reaching that point in the race where we're just settling into nice positions. As I say that, we do have another yellow flag in Sector 3, and it's Simon Witt again, having a nice little pirouette, I'm sure, at the final corner. But I will eat my words. Here's Martin Reitberg in the slipstream of Jerome Berg. The battle of the Bergs. That's very late braking, Martin, but he's got it stopped. And to the inside, a great late braking move there on Jerome Berg. Great overtake by Reitberg on Berg.
Yeah, two Bergs fighting for the race, two provisional pole. So yeah, the drivers do not really want to give the place away really nicely. So yeah, it's every round we see that for P15 it's really aggressive fighting for it. So here's Wittmann trying to catch Soppanen. So it depends if Wittmann is quicker by a lap of Soppanen. So maybe on the main straight, or he's too far. So Wittmann needs to hope for a mistake on Soppanen, so Wittmann could get a chance for going into T1 to overtake finally.
But it seems like Soppanen's gliding through that final corner, but you can see the effect of the washed out air that's going over Wittmann's car, where he's just lost 0.3 of a second. There was a bit of a battle further ahead. We just watched it on the onboard camera. I think that's a battle between a lapped car, now I think about it, looking at the gaps ahead of Wittmann. So I got a bit excited over nothing, really. It was just a blue flag overtake, and yeah, it is. I have no idea who it is. It might be Kozlowski. It could be anyone, for all I know. With all the incidents that's happened, we've got quite a few cars that are a lap down. Kozlowski is 2 laps down now, so I think might have been him being passed there. But yeah, we're again reaching the point of sort of stagnation in the battling here, as Simonsen right on the back of Nova McKenna, who's not having the greatest of times sort of maneuvering their way around the circuit. Simonsen just seems so much quicker than them in those middle sectors. And I feel like every time I say something, everyone just wants to prove me wrong. But further ahead, Alfie Denley as well, right on the back of Adam Morel. And this is definitely a battle that's been brewing for quite some time, as ahead, Wittmann quite nicely wide into that pit lane. A good line there. But they've lost a bit of time to Adam Morel. But Alfie Denley, the closest out of anyone so far. There's that lapped car on the inside. We don't need to worry about that. But Denley behind Adam Morel moves to the inside. Late braking, but not late enough, as Adam Morel holds on the outside. And that would have been a very interesting move had it have happened. But unfortunately, it did not.
I need to discuss it in my head that it could have ended with an accident, because yeah, Morel wasn't really expecting Denley, it looked like. So yeah. Oh no, Denley keeps it out of the wall. Great job. No damage.
He is very lucky there to both stay out of the wall and also get back around in the right direction. Oh, you can't really go for an overtake there, Maple. I like the spirit, but ooh, that was a bit too close between Alfie Denley and Matthew Maple. Here's Caroline Harvig, who's had a great performance so far. There's yellow in Sector 2. That'll be ahead of them, and we'll be reaching that point. Never mind, it's disappeared. Someone must have just pirouetted around and got back going. No! Olivier Demeliens, who's out of the race. So they've been in the wall somewhere. No doubt we'll be seeing that very soon. No, Caroline Harvig! Oh, the commentator's curse strikes again. And they're into the wall. Oh, I feel so bad.
It's kind of game over for Caroline this race, unfortunately.
And here's what happened to Olivier de Moliens. It seems like we've got another victim of this outside curb here. Oh, that happened way before we even got there, and that's a wall. And yeah, not exactly great to see. But we cut ahead to a bit quicker racing, but the gaps are a lot bigger. Also, Michael Falkenhayn just absolutely dominating in this race. 7.3 seconds, 7.5 now to Simon Kanda. So really, really comfortable. A nice little pocket between him and the next car. Okay.
Yeah. I was
Just making sure.
I was just thinking what to say.
Just making sure you were still with us.
Yeah,
I was hoping I hadn't handed off to someone. Ooh, something's happened to Whitman, who's lost their gap very quickly to Adam Morel further back, and they're very close together. There's a yellow in Sector 2. Caroline Harvig, it's still showing as DNF'd and still in 18th. I thought that was what happened. But Wittmann here is trailed by Adam Morel, but Morel's not close enough this time around. Reitberg has fallen back a little bit, but yeah, that gap between Morel and Wittmann closed very, very suddenly to just under a second. Oh, Simonson and Nova McKenna further back. I'd like to watch them. Simonson's very close, but I don't think a move has been made. Oh, a move has been made. Commentating off the timing screen, it was down the inside of turn 1. They're getting shown right to the edge of the circuit. Nova McKenna tries around the outside, but Simonson got the move done. And sorry we couldn't cut to that in time, but I think that would have been a very, very good move. Don't worry about it, Josh.
I think it was just a simple dive bomb, nothing really special, but yeah, it seems like T1 is the most with overtakes.
And very smart there by Evangelie Dekas to not go for a move to the inside, although it seems like very, very sketchy driving from both drivers here and everywhere across the circuit. Is Jurenberg and Nikos here. Oh, here's 3 cars that are very close together. Adam Morel once again on the back of Wittmann, but he has 2 cars behind him now to contest with. Morel's not going. Oh no! Oh, I think that, yeah, it's Alfie Denley and is that Maple, I think, or is it Simonson that have got into a situation there? Denley's got some messed up suspension based on the way that their car's moving about on the straight. And yeah, if we could see that from an outside perspective. Oh, this is Simon Witt. So Alfie Denley here, who got caught, I think, in the crossfire of something relatively innocent. Of
it was back marker.
Hugo Solzio, and yeah, so
that's...
Alfie Denley just cut across, and unfortunately, that is almost entirely his own fault.
Yeah, I think Denley needs to take the blame. Hugo Sozio wanted to let Denley pass, and yeah, Denley underestimated with that when she or he, I don't know, really weird English names for me, but yeah, I think he underestimated with that when he was passed or not.
Yeah, and while we were watching that incident, Wittmann has actually got been passed by Morel. There's Simonson to the inside of Alfie Denley. That seemed like a relatively easy move, thanks to the damage I'm sure Denley picked up from his little crash, or relatively big crash, I should say. Just Lepico. Ooh, that didn't look too good. I think that again was Hugo Sorzio behind them, just sliding out a little bit, not too comfortable. So yeah, it's definitely reaching the point of, I think people are getting a bit exhausted in this race and just need a bit of a break, I think.
I think Sorzio got some damage with Dendy earlier on there, because they both hit the metal barrier there.
Yeah, it's not ideal as we cut back to Campigotto. They've been very close for the last couple of laps, have McKenna and Campigotto, and they've been battling back and forth, trading positions here and there. And yeah, you can see why this gap is fluctuating. It seems like a bit of a trading, I wouldn't say of mistakes, but a trading of sort of you lose a bit, I gain a bit, and there and back and two really sort of relationship here going on. Although Campigotto seems to have had a cleaner lap this time around, is right on the back of Nova McKenna, and I think a move is very much in order, filling up those mirrors into, I want to say the penultimate corner, but it's the penultimate corner. Yeah, I know, really complex terminology there. But Campigotto goes into the pit lane.
Yeah, Campigotto got a penalty. Looks like track limits.
Yep, and the finish line is positioned in a way where you couldn't do that. So I would have waited another lap, although I suspect their penalty was drawn out right to the end there. But we cut to Michael Falkenhayn, who we have barely mentioned really in this race, apart from to say the gap between him and the next best car of Shimon Kanda. And into Sector 2, it's just been very quiet for Falkenhayn, taking pole in qualifying by a huge margin, and again in the race, almost 8 seconds as we round the final sector and into the final corner. And yeah, here we go for Michael Falkenhayn in race 1 here at Hungary to cross the line. It's going to be a race win, and yeah, really not much to say about it. It was very quiet and really just absolutely, in a way, dominant. Simon Kanda crosses the line in second. Josh Flynn is third. And lining up fourth is Roy Seifert. And I think, as we see the order now, is probably how it's going to end. Although I say that, Martin Reitberg and Nova McKenna are right next to each other. Although with 2 corners to go. Oh no! Nova McKenna, the commentator's car, strikes once again. And they go off the circuit. And unfortunately for them, they lose the position to Reitberg on the last lap in the penultimate corner. And I don't know why, but something just happens so often in Academy where I say something and the exact opposite of what you'd want to happen happens.
Yeah, but for McKenna, yeah, for race 1, the result is worse, but for race 2, he can start P2, so he could do something amazing from there.
Yeah, definitely. So, P15 start in race 2. It will be for Falkenhayn, and we're just waiting for the last couple of drivers to cross the finish line. But Kurt, would you like to take us through the finishing order of race 1?
I'd love to. So Michael Falkenhayn takes a win again, like the last round, but this time with a really big gap. Following him is Shimon Kanda, Josh Flynn, Roy Seifert, Dan Hood, Charlotte Menning, Juho Tsekko-Sopanen, Adam Morell, Mark Matthias Wittmann, Matthew Maple, who rounds up the top 10. So P11, Christian Simonsen. Following him is Alfie Denley, Martin Riedberg, Nova McKenna, Alessio Campigotto, who is also reverse grid pole. Nikos Evangelidakis 16th, Jerome Berg 17th, Christoph Pieskolan 18th, 19th Jimon Witt, and 20th is Michael De La Cruz, rounding out the top 20. And last finisher, Ugo Sorzio, P21, and Caroline, Havik, Olivier Demolians, Jakub Kozlowski, Osama Nani, James Taylor, Jivo Yoon, Adrian Senior did not classify until the end, unfortunately. So, Alex, let's recap race 1 very shortly. What do you think? Well, definitely for Valkynain, it was a really quiet race, a really dominant race for him. So it seems like from pole, it's really easy to win here. Or what you think?
Well, it just seems like everything I talked about in race 1 turned badly for whoever I was talking about. Although I think we should go to a quick break so Chris doesn't shout at us for taking too long in the broadcast. So we'll be back very soon after the end of the second warm-up session for race 2. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in just about 5 minutes' time.
See you soon. So, hello. We we are back. We are back at the capital city of Hungary in Budapest, and now, unfortunately, demolished. Hungaroring in real life. Cameras, as always. Joshua Dexter, and alongside me, not beside me, or between me, Alex Foulkes.
Yeah, I'm not between you. I'm not inside you. Yeah. It's a lot better of a position to be in than last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all learning very important lessons from this race. Like Josh is remembering not that he has to change the camera before we move to the session.
And I'm learning English on the go.
Yeah. So we're all learning, including the drivers. That's the best part about the Academy series, is people make mistakes, and it doesn't really matter that much. There's no championship to be won. Points are technically given, but it doesn't really matter because no one's spending a whole season in Academy if they're going to win the championship. They're going to be moved very quickly into a higher rung of the career ladder. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be getting underway for race 2. And the best part about race 2 is that the top 15, they start backwards. They face the right way, but they are inverted. So whoever was first, which was Michael Falkenhayn, will be 15th, and whoever was 15th, that must have been, give me a second, that will be Alessio Campigotto, who will be starting on pole with Nova McKenna behind him. So yeah, it should be interesting because Falkenhayn, like we said, had that higher downforce setup for the race 1 and qualifying, but it might hurt him now having to start 15th and having 15 cars ahead of him to fight, because that downforce advantage won't help you on the straights.
But yeah, definitely now I'm starting to think, is Michael Falkenhayn going to win it? Because most of the time in Academy Series we haven't seen race 1 winner win in race 2 as well now. In the few rounds now there has been, so yeah. From top 15, which is quite midfield, I would say it's like World War. What you see from there, from my perspective, when I drove Academy this year, then yeah, it's a complete war in midfield. So you need to think of possible strategies, how you can avoid all crashes, and how you can live overall.
Yeah, survival is definitely the most important thing in Academy, as demonstrated in race 1. Quite a few people benefited from the quite large amount of incidents that we saw in race 1, and it only gets better in race 2. Everyone's in the rhythm from sort of driving around the track enough to sort of find their line and find their own limits, or sometimes go over them and cause an accident. And we've got quite a few yellow cars just next to each other. Going off topic a little bit, but I'm just looking at the grid, and it's rainbowish, I think, because it goes blue, and then almost got a rainbow on the right side of the grid.
It is totally rainbow colors here at the left side of the grid. Not sure about right side, but left side for sure. Well, 2 yellows in a row, that's not right, but almost.
Just 2 yellows on a row on the left as well, though.
You mean right, then. Oh, yeah, and we are on the formation lap. Alessio Campigotto is starting on pole. Nova McKenna alongside him. Martin Reitberg and Alfie Denley, row 2. Kristin Simonsen, Matthew Maple, row 3, Mark Matthias Wittmann, and Adam Morel, row 4. Juho Tsekko-Sopanen and Charlotte Menning on row 5, Dan Hood and Roy Seifert on row 6. Josh Flynn and Jimon Kande on row 7, and Michael Falkenhayn, our first race 1 winner, and Jimon Kande on row 8. Christoph Piescolan and Jimon Witt on row 9, Michael De La Cruz and Luca Sozio on row 10. Caroline Harvig and Olivier Demoliens are on row 11, Osama Gnani and James Taylor on row 12. So this time 27 drivers, as in race 1 there was 28, so Jivoyun 25th, Adrian Senior 26th, and 27th is Samuel Slavev.
Who wasn't in race 1 actually. Sorry.
Slavev.
Yeah, they weren't. They joined. We've lost 2 people from race 1. I think it was some Nani. No. I'm sure we'll get told who we lost from race 1 over to race 2 in just a moment. We'll try and get that to you when we get it. But yeah, we're just waiting for the last couple of cars to head to the grid, or even the first one. Sorry, Kurt, I cut you off.
Yeah, no problem. But Alex, what's your bets? Who will win and who will you curse this time?
Well, Reitberg looked quite racy in race 1. They did a pretty decent performance to get up to where they did ahead of the race start. Although I know exactly whatever I'm going to say, they're going to immediately crash in the first corner and go bowling. But either way, we've got all the cars on the grid, and there are the lights. It's Campagotto on the right, McKenna on the left, and they are away. McKenna's not got the greatest of starts and immediately is behind Campagotto. Alfie Denley tries to get into that slipstream and tries to make a move, but it seems like Reitberg has lost the position to Denley. McKenna is on the grass, and there's just a lot of sliding through turn 1 as people try and get to grips with their cars once more in this race. McKenna tries to go to the inside as Campagotto has gone deep, but Campagotto will have the inside line, and we've got a yellow in sector 1, and it's staying there for quite some time. Something's gone on further back. McKenna tries to the inside. You can't really make a move there, and oh, they're onto the curb, and that just unsettles me and also unsettles the car. Similarly, Reitberg, my prediction, is down in 4th, and yeah, Falkenhayn has lost positions off the start.
Falkenhayn made a jump start as well, and someone does a half spin here, as we have our first retirement already of race 2, who is Jerome Berg, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a lot of chaos.
Alfie Denley round from 3rd position, so that's quite unfortunate, and he's dropped back 9 positions down to 12th, so not the greatest start in race 1 for race 2, sorry. Oh my goodness, we've had 1 race already and I've forgotten about it as well. But look at that train of cars down the straight. All of them are getting slipstream, and all of them move out to one side. Here's Kanda, Morel, and Sopanen, I think. Morel tries to go around the outside of Sopanen, but loses out, actually. And has now Morel to contend with, who's going to try around the outside, is later on the brakes, and will have the inside line into the next corner. And I think that's a done deal for Adam Morel, or Simon Kanda, actually, on Adam Morel. My fault. But yeah, that was just a very simple move, very textbook move from Kanda to get past Morel, who I think overextended themselves a little bit trying to go after Sopanen there.
But definitely, it was cleaner lap 1 than race 1. Race 1 there was a lot of yellow flags, which are on the leaderboard. But yeah, I am quite surprised. It was so like clean. But one thing also that surprised me quite a lot was that Michael Falkenhayn made a jump start, which made him get a drive-through penalty. So Falkenhayn, it's out. Whoa.
That will be Matthew Maple in the black Academy car, and they are missing a rear wing and a front wing, which, just a bit of a reminder, is not ideal. You need downforce in these cars. As much as you want to be quick on the straight, that is not the way of going about it. And let's just cut to see what has happened here. I've got a pretty good idea, which is he's touched the curb. And, just
lost it.
a bit too heavy on the throttle. And he won't be able to get into the pit lane.
He's got a rear wing, so I don't know what you saw.
Yeah, well, clearly I'm blind and need to get an eye test. I don't know.
So, now it's awfully quiet again. Dan Hood here in a really long train, which is until McKenna. Dan Hood here, B7, and trying to close up on Charlotte Manning to eventually make an overtake. Maybe even try to go fight for the podium.
Yeah, and Simon Kanda has done quite well to maintain 9th here on the back of Juho Sopanen, but we've just got a huge train of cars here. There's not really a second anywhere between all the way back from Reitberg or even McKenna, just a bit further back. It goes all the way to Simon Witt, this train here. But yeah, it's going to be strong slipstream. But we're on board with Adam Morel down the main straight. He's on the back of Simon Kanda, but is lagging a bit and has fallen quite far back. As a result of that, that's unfortunate. But they were quite late on the brakes into turn 1 and have gained that disadvantage back almost immediately. Kanda is on the back of Sopanen here. Prix to the outside in turn 3 is late on the brakes, but not late enough, as Sopanen maintains their advantage over Kanda for now. Kanda's looking very, very racy, and you can't really go too wide there. There's no point really defending it. But yes, that was quite, I want to say ambitious move, but it really wasn't. It was just not ambitious enough, almost.
Yep, they're definitely. Well, they are trying their best to make some overtakes at all on this track. And someone in the background spun, maybe. Yeah, it's Alfie Denley. But yeah, really. That's not ideal. That
was just a murder, and that's illegal. Murder is illegal, especially attempted murder like that. But Denley, relatively unscathed by the looks of it. That's just a bit unfortunate. Ugo Sorzio, by the way, has fought their way back to 15th, ignoring the fact that we just witnessed an almost execution there by the car ahead of him. He's done quite well to fight from the back after retiring all the way up to 15th. Just look at that delta. Alfie Denley really not having a great race here, down 14 positions already in 5 laps, but there's still time for him to recover and get further ahead. It's not exactly always about how you start, it's how you finish. And even though we're halfway through, it still matters how you start, as Campagotto gets overtaken around the outside. McKenna gets overtaken around the outside, by Wittmann. Oh, wow. I was not expecting to see a move there, and that's a great move. And I'm just quite sad that we only got the second half of that.
You were quite surprised by that move.
And,
but it seems like McKenna is struggling with the car, so yeah, losing a lot of time. So Riedberg is almost getting a chance now to go at McKenna.
And Royce Seifert there got a penalty. I would assume that is for track limits, since that seems to be the only way you can get a penalty for the most part, apart from jumping the start. And obviously we're not starting the race now. Falkenhayn at the back after his pit stop is 70 seconds down, but that won't stop him from trying to set the purple sectors. Simon Kanda now is getting onto the back of Juho Sopanen, tries around the outside in turn 1. No space for a move there, but is back on the outside into turn 3, and this time he's a lot closer. And it shouldn't matter how late he brakes this time. This is basically a done deal now, but he's pushed a bit wide onto the grass. He's going to hold it, though. And they're side by side now, heading into turn 5. And I would imagine Sopanen has to back out of this, but he tries to hold on, but has to yield eventually. But now has to contend with Royce Seifert, although he does have the penalty, so it's less of a threat. But he's going to try into the chicane. Never mind, he's just filling those mirrors. And I thought we were about to see another... Ooh, onto the grass. And yeah, like you say, Taylor has got a penalty. Sorzio, I think, just forced a mistake on Simon Witt there. And yeah, quite well done to make the move out of the chicane. Alfie Danley retires from the race as well.
Quite a quiet race. Race 2. I haven't seen like a lot of accidents, but a lot of spinning, I should say. But yeah, in race 2, really tight battles again, and it seems like Wittmann is the only one who could challenge Campigotto right now.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time left in this race. Here's Dan Hurt on the back of Reitberg to the inside in turn 1, and that's a relatively done deal. Reitberg drops down to 6th, and there's contact a bit further back between Kanda and Sopanen. And Sopanen's on the inside here, tries to go late on the brakes, does quite well. Oh, there's contact, and they're both round. Oh. This is not going to end well. They bunch right up here. Sopanen's dropped down to 9th. It seems like Kanda's relatively unscathed, but now there's 6 cars in relatively close proximity, side by side. Oh, and yeah, that's never going to end well.
And another car is off. Oh no! No! Not a great place to be stationary. It's a really blind corner, and when you commute there like with top speed and you see a car on the final moment, then yeah, nothing you can do.
Yeah, it's ill-advised there to go side by side, and we're seeing exactly why. You have to expect the car on the outside and the car on the inside to mutually give each other enough space to get around that corner if you want to go side by side, and that's not something that happens that often, especially in those fast of corners where there's only really one line you can take. Of course you can go side by side, but it's just not a good idea usually, putting so much trust in other drivers. And a textbook example of why that is, James Taylor is off the track, and Jesse Collan has an opportunity here, but the slipstream not quite powerful enough to close that gap, as Taylor is having a bit of a party around the track, and the connection once again showing him going off the circuit, so that's not ideal.
Yeah, gonna have a lot of problems with your internet if you get shown that you are most of the time like underground or behind barriers or...
Ooh. Yeah.
So yeah, Perscolan is going to have some issues overtaking Taylor, so definitely a threat on the track.
But we cut to Charlotte Menink, who's fighting through the field, up 7 positions now in 4th, and has only Nova McKenna ahead of her for P3, as Dan Hurt is actually fighting here, tries to go to the outside in the almost final corner, not quite, but the final right-hand corner, before the final right-hand corner. What am I saying? Either way, Dan Hurt tries to have a go, but doesn't quite get it done, but still has a main straight to go, and quite a bit of slipstream from Charlotte Menink ahead of him. although I don't think it's going to be quite enough to make a move into turn 1, but that's cost both of them a huge chunk of time to Nova McKenna. Unfortunately, that attack is going to have to sort of, I think, be put on hold now for a couple of laps. Fend off Danhut, and you can get back fighting for the podium as we move to the middle of the pack. Michael De La Cruz got a penalty for what I can assume is track limits. So yeah, they're going to be dropping down quite a bit. Ugo Sorzio, after I complimented their performance to get up into 15th, has retired. So yeah, I should just stop talking.
Yeah, as we talked about before, Ugo Sorzio and Roy Seifert, unfortunately they both have retired now. So yeah, the cause of retirement is unknown, as we haven't seen the replay or haven't seen it live. But yeah, a really great move by Kanda in the inside of Rietberg. You didn't really notice it, but yeah, I was ready to talk about it as soon as possible.
Are we even getting a replay of it? No, this is what happened to Ugo Sorzio instead. And Herb? Oh, right.
No.
Yeah, that explains it.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. We got another one? Oh, no. This is just cutting to pit lane. Charlotte Menink again is back on Nova McKenna and looks to the outside. It's quite late on the brakes. I might actually get this done here. No, not quite. Not late enough on the brakes and not enough speed or grip to go around the outside there. But look at that gap. It is not changing whatsoever, apart from getting closer between Menink, apart from, you know, in the corners where you have that nice little concertina effect. It seems like McKenna here is struggling a little bit under the pressure of having a car behind them. But either way, we've got 4 cars here, and they're all going to be in the battle for the podium right to the end. But Campagotto at the front looks very comfortable. And
what's happened here? Oh no!
No, and Menning's around.
Menning has gone around.
I don't know what's happening. Reitberg. No, Flynn gets past Menning. This contact. No.
This is not great.
Oh,
yeah. They are.
Yeah, it's
stuck.
They're stuck. Let's. Yeah. In the words of Josh Dexter, let's just go away from that. Cut away from that to Simon Kanda, and it's sad to see a battle for the podium ended like that. Truly unfortunate for Charlotte Menink. I didn't see what happened because I was too busy trying to figure out what was happening with the broadcast. So hopefully we'll get a replay and we can actually talk about what happened there. Perfect timing. See, it's not all bad with a replay. Was it the curb?
Yeah, the curb.
Yep. Oh, goodness me. That is.
That curb.
Curb should not be doing that to race cars.
Yeah, that curb there is very deadly. So stay away.
Yep. And then this was unfortunate.
And Menink.
Menink again. I think they hit a wall this time, and no,
Menink's
they look fine. But they spun. That's what happened, Josh. We can watch it. I'm gonna assume it was a curb. Yes, it was.
Yes,
Yay!
it was.
I love curbs. We love curbs.
Yeah, we do love curbs. But yeah, we can't forget Dan Hood, because still, Menink, well, she isn't there, but Dan is, and Dan is also quite quick. So maybe Dan could rob the podium from Nova McKenna, as we have 3 laps to go.
yeah, there's still plenty of time for Dan Hurt to get past, and with the gap that he's got, it's very much possible. Or even Simon Kanda here is in a very strong position to try and capitalize on anything that may happen between the two cars ahead of him. It's not out of the question. Simon Kanda almost hits the back of Dan Hurt, but he's just trying to prove my point, really, that he does have the pace and he does have the proximity to the cars ahead of him to try and get past both of them. But through this S section, nothing will happen here unless we get to the curbs. Bet? Anyone? Let's see this time around. Does anyone... No one gets caught on the curb. It's like gambling, I think. Every time we go through that corner, gambling. Oh, Dan Hurt almost into the back of McKenna. That's a bit too late on the brakes there, Dan. I would advise pressing that brake pedal a bit earlier or a bit harder. I don't know. But either way, onto the main straight. Oh, McKenna holding it very well. That's a second save they've had in 2 races. Just like that. But Dan Hurt right on the back of the podium runner to the inside. Very, very close to the inside. Oh, they're both round. Oh, and Kanda gets caught. And Kanda's just an innocent bystander there. As Dan Hurt, I think, clipped the inside of McKenna there. And sent them into a bit of a half spin. And that's a bit of a tragic way to terminate that battle. But that is only for now. We've still got 2 more attempts for Dan Hurt to try and make a pass in the final sector and also into that first couple of corners. So yeah, still plenty of time for things to happen here. Still plenty of time for a late lap dive bomb to try and get into that podium position.
Yeah, a three-way fight for 3rd place. So yeah, it's getting a bit hectic. Jimon seems to be a lot quicker than Dan and Nova, so yeah, it's harder to be at the same level of pace on Jimon, because he can't take up the middle line, which he can be quick with, and he needs to adapt to others to just play it safe and overtake in a safe place.
Yeah, but either way, we were on board with Dan Hurt down the straight, but I think it's best that we look at Simon Kanda here, who has a much nicer and closer gap to Dan Hurt, but just doesn't have the straight line speed, actually. He's getting gapped along the straight, even with that slipstream. It's just much more advantageous as McKenna's early on the brakes. Dan Hurt tries around the outside at that point to try and get past Dan Hurt. Get past Emma McKenna, but it just wasn't happening. As we move on to the final lap, Campigosso still leads by 6 seconds, and Whitman is also in a nice pocket himself with this battle of cars here. But it seems like it's going to be Dan Hurt and McKenna. They're very close, and there's contact. Kanda around the outside, tries it in turn 6. There's more contact, but he's still holding it on. And Dan Hurt on the inside in the chicane. Oh, Kanda makes the move work, but he pushes Hurt onto the grass, and Hurt is round. Oh, that is unfortunate on the final lap. It seems like Nova McKenna has been helped by that. A second gap has developed, so that podium looks almost sealed now. Campagotto, we haven't talked about him either during this race, but he's rounding the final corner now to take the win in race 2. And it's a great win. Once again, almost dominant, really. Wittmann crosses the line in second. Nova McKenna, I'd love to cut to them right now because Kanda's still there, but there's not enough time left in the lap. It's McKenna that takes P3. Kanda lines up 4th. Lightberg is 5th, and Josh Flynn finishes top 6.
Yeah, Nova McKenna just showed us that you don't need to be quick, and if it's a track where you can't overtake really nicely, then you don't need to be quick. You just need to be smart, and you need to defend aggressively, like Alonso told Ocon in Hungary 21 that he needs to defend like a lion. So that's what Nova McKenna did. So yeah, really great job. He really deserved podium. He held the place well.
Oh, what's going on here? There's some tempers flaming up here.
Oh,
And that was a I don't even, that was a violation of that car.
it's yeah,
Truck.
it's questionable. Yeah,
Truck. We're not watching truck race now.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
Oh.
results. We've got to do though. Oh, wow,
Would
this is
you
demolition derby going on here.
take them?
Oh, I haven't seen this angle before. Could we keep that? That was awesome. Right, results, sorry. Alessio Campagotto takes the win in race 2 with Matthias Wittmann second. Noah McKenna takes the podium and the final podium position in third. Simon Kanda fourth. Martin Reitberg is fifth with Josh Flint in sixth. Christoph Piesikolan in seventh with Juho Sopanen in eighth. Simon Witt is P9 with Adam Morel behind him in 10th. Also apparently in 10th is James Taylor with Dan Hurt behind him. Caroline Harvig. That's not right. Caroline Harvig is 12th with Michael De La Cruz in 13th. Charlotte Mennick is 14th. Adrian Senior finishes 15th. Oliver Demolians in 16th. Michael Falkenhayn sort of ruined his race in race 2. Finishes 17th? 18th? I really don't know. Matthew Maple is 19th and Christian Simonson, the first of our retirees, 20th.
Something has gone terribly wrong.
Ugo Sorcio is 21st. Roy Seifert, Alfie Denley, Usama Nani, Yuo Yun, and Jerome Berg, all retiring in race 2. And we've got a nice bit of a roster here in terms of people to interview. I think I kind of want to talk to Simon Kanda here after that race 2 there. And yeah, it was definitely interesting. So we now move to the interviews. We'll get Simon Kanda in here, and we'll talk about that race 2. Hello, Simon. Congratulations on the P4 in race 2. It was very well fought all the way to the end there. So just give us a run through of those last couple of laps, because that was quite action-packed.
Honestly, I found pace from out of nowhere, so I started catching up to everyone. I had a really good battle with what was it? I forgot his name, but yeah, I had a good battle with him. We had a bit of contact. Couldn't be helped, you know. It's kind of hard racing, and just a dive too early, a dive too late. You know, can't really avoid it. Other than that, and then yeah, I continued on my race, tried to catch up to P4 and P3. They crashed, sadly, but I couldn't really avoid them. Kind of damaged my front wing in the process. And then after that, I saw an opportunity to go around the outside. I took it, and yeah, I finished up P4. So
yeah, it was a great last lap move there. So obviously you had the pace out of nowhere, but were you expecting to be able to make that move there, or were you sort of hoping for a mistake from the cars in front?
Honestly, ever since I saw them battle, I was thinking I could definitely get P3, which, I mean, it almost happened, but yeah, I saw everything happen in front of me. I was like, yeah, I could do this, and I did partially, but I didn't quite get on the podium yet. So,
and let's just say hypothetically, you have one more lap there. Do you think you're getting past Noah McKenna? Even if they had a great defense, do you think that you could get past?
If they made one more mistake, then I definitely could, but my tires were completely dead. I was like 70% on my front left, so it was really hard to keep on the track.
Okay, so yeah, overall, a decent race 2. And let me just pull up the race 1 result. I'm sure you'll know it a lot better than me. Yeah, so you were second in race 2, but it was very quiet, really. You didn't do much, and we didn't pay much attention in race 2, apart from those first couple of laps. So I'm assuming that was just a nice, quiet race for you?
Yeah, I mean, there was like an 8-second gap at the end. So he just completely pulled away from us, and there isn't really anything that happened behind me. So I just kind of drove my race, and that's how it finished, P2.
All right. And Kurt, any questions?
No questions, but Jimon, I really love to see you fighting with people. It's just such a pleasure to see that in academy there are people that who can fight cleanly as well, not taking themselves out. So thank you for these battles, and hope to see you on the podium again.
Hopefully we do better next race, and hopefully I do good in FS2 at Singapore. So,
All right, congratulations, and see you soon. We'll bring in Nova McKenna next, and hello, Nova. Congratulations on your podium, and well fought race to the end there. I don't want to say barely held on, but it was pretty close. What was your perspective of that battle at the end?
It was the most stressful battle I think I've ever had. I don't think I'll ever have something like that ever again. Just using the fact that you can barely overtake at this track, and I can just be a wall sometimes. I put 2 and 2 together, and no one could get by me.
Yeah, was that? Did you always intend for that to be your strategy, or did you just see an opportunity to defend like a lion and keep the cars behind you?
Basically, just kept my car in the right position and hoped for the best. The only person that got by me was Whiteman with probably one of the best moves I think I've seen in a good while.
Definitely. Even when I saw it on the broadcast, I was not expecting that move whatsoever, so I can't blame you for also not expecting it, to be honest. Obviously, a great move around the outside. But yeah, and let me just pull up the race 1 result here. So you obviously finished 14th in race 1. And from that, you were starting second in reverse grid, but did you think that you were going to be able to hold on, or did you sort of realize that you were going to be able to get a decent position in race 2?
I was kind of hoping to do the same thing as I did in Monza last week. Just stay as high as possible, and, well, I did, and finally got the podium.
Well, yeah, you got a podium, and congratulations, Kurt. Do you have any questions?
No questions, but yeah, like I told Jimon, that fighting really nicely. Your defending really surprised me. It seems like Academy is definitely getting better, and we can definitely see here new talents who are really promising with talent. So thank you for giving us such a show in the final stages of race 2.
Yes, that was the goal, just keep them behind.
Yeah. All right then. Congratulations once again, and I won't see you, but maybe I will. But yeah, we'll see you again, maybe in 2 weeks' time, or even if in a week, if Benno thinks you should go up and try FS2. So yeah, congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Kurt, it is now your choice of interview. We'll do one more.
A lot of people to choose from. Let's talk with Michael then.
Okay, let's get Michael in. Hello, Michael. Race 1 win and a race 2 to forget. Really, could you give us your perspective there?
Yeah, race 2. I had a false start, so I got a drive through, and yeah, after that I didn't really care much anymore. I was too excited from race 1, so yeah.
So race 1 just got your hopes up, and then you sort of lost it from there, like mentally, I'm assuming. But yeah, with race 2, were you really expecting to be able to fight back through the field, even if you didn't have that false start? Or
No,
obviously you had that low speed setup, which we pointed out with the high downforce, because you were so much quicker in qualifying in the downforce. And so was we expecting that to come back and bite you?
yeah. I mean, on the race start, I got overtaken by 2 cars into the uphill in sector 1. So you can imagine how bad my top speed was. It was 235 max, so I was lacking like 20 kph on average. So it was basically like a Hamilton start first and finish first setup. And yeah.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. So do you think that you're ready to continue in FS2 again? Because obviously in Baku. I wouldn't say it was a bad race, but it's not exactly one to remember. So, do you think you'll be going back to FS2?
Yeah, and I have a better idea of what to do with setups now, and I actually started using force feedback since Friday, so I think that's a big reason for my jump in pace. Since I started using force feedback, and hopefully I can continue that in FS2.
All right, Kurt, I know I've hijacked your interview, but any questions?
No questions.
All right, then, Michael, congratulations on your win in race 1. We hope to see this performance continuing in future races, and I might see you next week in FS2.
Thank you.
All right, then, that is all we have for today in Academy. 2 very exciting races and an incident-filled race 1 and an honestly cleaner than expected race 2. But honestly, that is mainly my final remarks. Kurt, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, today Hungarian GP might be one of the boring races. 2 races I have commentated, but yeah, still really nice battles. They decided to get everyone decided to get the elbows out and try to fight now cleanly. So yeah, hats off to everyone. Well, curbs, yeah, no comment. Curbs are deadly, as we all know it. But yeah, you can be quick without curbs, so you can stay alive. But yeah. With me, I will be driving now next week. So
Yeah.
Alex will commentate this time, and I will see
Maybe.
everyone back in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Don't forget, we have Super Lights tomorrow. And on Thursday, we'll have Super League. It is, where were we racing? Baku. So yeah, we got 2 more races this week to look forward to. And then in a week time from now, it'll be FS2 and we'll be in, I believe, Singapore. So yes. Until then, it's goodbye from me, and I would assume goodbye from Kurt. So thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
See you soon.